All right. Welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. A little shorter show today. And honestly, we're not in person. We're all virtual here. We got Kevin below, Zach to my right. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. Um, Reason why it's a shorter show today, we'll touch on a couple things, specifically news around the NFL. Myles Garrett, officially requests a trade, how realistic that is for people. Some baseball news is kind of happening. Spring training is right around the corner. People are panicking, as they always do. But some moves have to be done. That is for certain. And then, kind of wrapping everything together, I'm honestly blanking on the third topic. Oh, yeah, it's around Alex Bregman specifically. And so that's the topics that we have today, fellas. Before, obviously, we're going to talk about why was this so short today and why we're all virtual. But guys, first off, how you doing? Happy Monday to you both.
Happy
I
Monday.
I just feel like my days are completely over the past week and a half. I feel like I just don't know what the days of the week are. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I just feel like I've been on a different every day. You could convince me. Like I thought it was Friday like 3 days last week. But I was just convinced it was Friday.
Yeah. Welcome into my past 3 years. I don't even. I just know. You know what? We're
You just
doing
know when you have
Ryan
to get
Ripken
locked
show
on
Monday, Thursday. We got daily. Yeah, just all over the place. But it is a little different because we officially moved the fish tank to a different room. So I'm switching up my backgrounds and everything. So we decided we have another fish tank. We put them close. So now I have the glass duck, or no, other way. The glass duck that I teased on the show on what was it, Thursday? I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Now it's in action, at least for now. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but
That was something.
yeah.
That's
I
the
could have
main
put
reason.
the full glass fish collection could have gone across this entire thing, but I
Well,
decided to
I
spare the
mean,
people.
Next thing we're working on the studio, obviously, is an aquarium.
Oh yeah.
For that's
Yeah,
on
one
the
of those like
priority list if we
50
know.
gallon aquariums for the studio.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
definitely what I think will be in store next. But well, it won't be in the next thing that we have in store, but we'll add it to the list here. And look, I know everyone's excited. Spring training is coming back this month, next week, but football's not over yet, right? We're almost there, and that's kind of why we want to at least announce officially. Obviously, people who have followed the show the last week have already known the news. Our channel members have already noticed, but we are going down to the Super Bowl Radio Row for the week. We're leaving tomorrow, and we're going to have content coming your way from New Orleans from Tuesday to Saturday, and we're ecstatic about it. So we're going to be there. We have some great guests already lined up. We already then have things that we are still lining up, Zach, and trying to give you so many different pieces, not just from a sports standpoint, but just from a whole kind of lifestyle experience. And you guys will be there to experience it with us. So we are ecstatic about it. And I'll be honest, a little exhausting the process, but this
it's going
is
to be an
something.
exhausting week. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to take you guys behind the scenes of everything, just kind of how everything's going, what it's like there. We'll be giving you content up to the minute of just things we're doing. I'm bringing my camera to just walk around. We're just going to be everything. You guys want everything this week. Make sure to follow along here on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere. It's going to be just jam-packed with interviews, us walking around, different events. It's going to be we're going to be running around, but we're going to bring you guys with us everywhere.
It'll be endless. Unfortunately, I wish we had Kevin eating beignets. Might have to wait. So we'll save that for some spring training content for Kevin and going into the season. But this is one of the things we wanted to check off our list. We get to do that this year. We wish it was a Commanders Ravens Super Bowl. How great would that be? But Chiefs Eagles, the amount of people, and this is the thing. I mean, we're telling you, we're having people that we're going to get together with that aren't even involved in the football world. So we're really excited about what's in store here. So make sure you're tuned in. And for our channel members, if you want to be a channel member, click that join button there. You guys will get some exclusive sneak peeks and we'll let you know on what we got going on first and foremost. So that's kind of all I got with that initially, guys. So So stay tuned on that. And in the meantime, we are going to talk about a couple of topics today. So we should get into it. Why don't we start, since we are on the football topic, and we'll end with baseball like we usually do. And the last thing I do want to mention, though, is not only shout out to our great community, but shout out two of our OG kind of sponsors, Adams Jeep of Maryland, which over under 5 seconds right here is
Under.
Five. He's giving you
Under.
5 seconds.
Always
You take
under.
me over. He shaved
one Mississippi, two Mississippi,
three.
Three.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was in 2 seconds, but our friends at Adams Jeep of Maryland, appreciate you guys. Wouldn't be able to get where we are going as we hit the road down in New Orleans without you guys. And check out adamsjeepofmaryland.com if you are looking for a car used or new. And guys, I'll put out a video on it later, but they have a great coat drive that's going on there. And honestly, it's not just that the coats go to a good cause. You donate coats, they're going to take money off of you buying a car, and you have the ability to donate up to 30 coats per vehicle and maximize an additional discount of $4,500. $4,500 could be taken off if you buy a car just for donating coats to help those that are in need here, children, women, men in the local community. So we appreciate Adams Jeep of Maryland. Thank you guys for everything you've done, and check out adamsjeepofmaryland.com. And obviously we're at Hollywood Casino Charlestown races. We'll get into that later on. For those that saw the show on Friday, shout out to them too. But guys, the recent news, literally today, was Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's the fairy tale, at least moment here of in Baltimore, people are going, wait a minute. Myles Garrett wants to leave and wants to go chase down a championship. Seems like that would be a good fit. And the heart, Kevin, Zach, the heart would want Myles Garrett, but the mind is saying that's not the team in Maryland that has a realistic shot. And I did see the list come out initially. Do you guys know the list that I'm talking about? Had the Bills as number one, Ravens as third for favorites. Doesn't seem exactly accurate, does it, Kev? You're shaking your head.
No. The Bills would need to have some maneuvering, and a lot of these teams would. I mean, Myles Garrett right now, it's interesting because his base salary is only $1 million. The cap hit obviously is 19, but it just depends what these teams are willing to give up. And by the way, they should be willing to give up everything. Like Myles Garrett is that good of a player. He's 29. But the Bills and some of these teams, I'm not so sure. I think it's going to be more of an up-and-coming team that doesn't have a ton of long-term commitment for the next 2, 3, maybe 4 years. Quarterback on a rookie deal. And Ryan, I think, you're alluding to a team, not the Ravens, although we can certainly get into that in a couple minutes or so. But there seems to be another team in the area that feels like they're much more equipped to maybe make a run at Myles Garrett.
Really feels that way, doesn't it? I mean, look, the Commanders today and Josh Harris and their staff were talking today specifically, not about Myles Garrett, but we're talking about the Commanders, and that name's here to stay for those that had any doubts. It's here to stay. But when you're looking at the structure of the team and what they have, the cap space, the rookie quarterback, Zach, if there is any team that could break the bank and not break the bank for an extension, have the draft capital to make the move, and then their future, how bright it is in the NFC, honestly, if I'm the Commanders, I am throwing everything at the Cleveland Browns to get Myles Garrett, because it just seems like it's a perfect match if the Cleveland Browns truly actually let him go.
Yeah, it is the perfect match, and we talked about it. It checks all the boxes that Kevin, you brought up. Young, up-and-coming team with a lot of talent for years to come. That's young on rookie deals. Your quarterback, most importantly, has 4 more years, assuming they pick up the 5th-year option on his rookie deal. And then you have the draft capital and the salary cap available to make a deal like this happen. So when you look at everything, it all signs point to the Commanders need to be the team to go get him. And why wouldn't they? You pair him with that already extremely talented defensive line. You can send 3-4 guys all day, and you're going to be putting pressure on the quarterback. Now, the secondary is where Washington needs to improve this offseason. I think that was kind of their biggest area of need. Well, one way to help improve the secondary is the quarterback has 2 less seconds to throw. You have to cover for less time because now not only do you have Payne, Jonathan Allen, you now add onto that star-stud line a Myles Garrett. You can't double team everyone. You double team Allen, Myles Garrett's got it. It just everything makes too much sense for the Commanders to go there. He would be that awesome veteran presence that's still at the top of his game, one of the best, if not the best pass rushers out there. It makes too much sense for the Commanders.
I mean, you know what? Just to not sugarcoat this or not to dance around, it's just Myles Garrett is that damn good.
Yeah.
The Commanders are ready to win, right? Like, and this is the crazy thing. It's you don't have to convince anybody with this move, right? Like, is he a great player? Yes. Is it a need for the Commanders? Yes. Are the Commanders possibly going to have the most upside of teams in the NFC the next 4 years? Yes.
Yeah.
So it all makes sense. One other thing I want to tie in why it also won't be Baltimore in my mind, and Kevin, maybe you got an opinion on that, especially with that Jack Sparrow-esque mustache. But so it really, to me, there was times in the past where the Ravens were interested in, say, Zadarius Smith, pass rusher, right? Make no mistake, I don't think Cleveland loves dealing with teams in the division, but specifically Baltimore, there's some friction. There's some tension. And I think just that alone, even if hypothetically we were able to throw out the what ifs, the Brian Windhorst what ifs, I don't see that the Browns would budge for a deal in the division unless it is something that's so ludicrous.
That's the only way. That's
not a Ravens move. Like, Baltimore is not going to do that. That's not smart. That's not an Eric DeCosta type move,
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think that, when you're talking about a team in the NFC versus the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, I think that the Browns are going to have 2 different price points for whether it comes to, okay, well, we can trade them out of not only the division, but out of the conference, or you got to play them twice a year and you got to deal with, they're already the Browns fan base. And it's almost like the Luka thing. And I know, Ryan, you kind of touched on this during the member stream, but first of all, for the fan base, the Browns fan base, to side with Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett says, I want to win. I want to request the trade. And the Browns fans are like, yeah, all right. Like, we get it. Like, it sucks, but okay. That already tells you the Browns are in a heap of trouble. And it's the same thing with Luka, where the Mavs fans are all siding with Luka and even the Lakers now. But if you're talking about it from a Ravens perspective, they also just don't really deal first-round picks like that. And if the Browns are going to ask, hey, you're in our division, we might be asking for a first and a second and a third from another team, but we're going to make you give us 2 firsts and extra stuff. That's just going to shy the Ravens. The Ravens aren't going to do that. So, obviously, it's not impossible. I'm not going to, nothing's impossible, as we saw on Saturday with the Luka thing. But I just think that in terms of likelihoods, I'm putting it pretty far down on the list.
I mean, if you ask Kevin Garnett, Jason Tatum, anything is possible. Maybe, Kevin, if you give them the Black Pearl, then maybe there could be a deal in place. Do you know that reference, or is that way over your head?
I don't know.
Do you understand? You know what Jack Sparrow is, correct?
Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean?
Correct. Do you know what ship Jack Sparrow used to captain?
No.
I'll give you a hint. I just said it.
Yeah, I was going to say it.
What?
The Black Pearl.
Oh. You cut out for me when you said that. I didn't hear you say it. Yeah. You like
Goodness
that?
gracious. But for the Commanders, though, it makes a great point. The Ravens value draft picks. They value making a good deal that makes sense. They're willing to spend if the price is right. But when you're looking at what you can do to add to your roster, plus then that you're dealing with a team in division that Lord knows they don't want to see you win, especially in the fact you think people in Cleveland still forget when the Ravens left or Cleveland left, came to Baltimore, and then the Ravens won that Super Bowl the first year. You don't think that that stings and that Myles Garrett could be a big reason why the Ravens could win their third? Those things, people do hold grudges there. And for the Commanders, that culture, it really fits everything that they're doing. So if I was going to be a betting man with that, I think that the Commanders, that would be a destination if I was Myles Garrett that I would say, hey, I would sign there and I believe that we can do some damage. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens there. A lot of offseason conversations to go, and I'm sure it's going to heat up as it always does. Is what, Kevin? It's a month after the Super Bowl ends will be the NFL free agency.
Yep.
And things are going to be just going wild. Truly, things are going to get chaotic once more. But
I didn't even think about that. NFL
can't even think about
comes
that.
up in like a month.
Yeah. Right.
In a month. Well, before we get into the baseball conversation, then to close out football, we were up at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in
West
Virginia.
No, but we tried.
We did. It was solid, but we were up there. The opening of ESPN Bet officially in as the sports book. Had a great time. Maybe placed a little bet there. Ryan Ripken show. Let's get a hit. Can't wait to go pick that ticket up there when it does. But fantastic. But the bigger thing was talking about the Washington franchise in general, because this player didn't play for the Commanders, played for Washington. Now Santana Moss. He was up there. First off, incredible dude. 11 out of 10 on just being a genuine, real, not only person, but then talking about the game. And you heard the Commanders today and Josh Harris talk about the name Commanders. And they said, hey, we're not changing it, staying. And said a lot of guys have gravitated towards the name, like of what it means to be a Commanders player. So maybe, I don't know if this is a segment, I'd love to add this in, but these are the type of the players that are in the Commanders building now. And he's been there for a while. And the player I'm talking about is Terry McLaurin. And for anyone, though, this relates to the Commanders, but for anybody who is trying to teach their kids young lessons, or you're trying to understand how to be great in a profession, whether it's professional sports or whatever, take a listen to this clip. This is Santana talking about Terry, but what it means to show up each day. And it's not about being the best, it's about being consistent. So let me play it for you.
Things that stands out from me as a player, when I was young playing this game, this is some of the things I try to tell my son now. It's okay to be that guy. It's okay to be the guy that everybody talks about. But in order for you to be that guy that your team is going to consistently talk about, or the fan base is going to consistently talk about, it's about how consistent can you be, you know, in your journey or through your journey in this league and on any level. And that's what Terry brought. He brought consistency. He was a guy that, regardless of who the quarterback was, his play never changed. And then when the quarterback got better, his play rose to the challenge. So that's what pays dividends when you have a guy like Terry that's just been fighting, man, that's just been clawing, and that had that dog ass mentality before Dan Quinn them got in here. And that's what Dan did when he realized, like, oh, okay, I got certain guys on here that already have, you know what I taught, what I preach.
So that freaking fires me up, because when people ask, and then the pro levels, and like I say it all the time with baseball, right, guys? When you want to get to a certain level in sports, yeah, it's great to be a star talent, superstar. But the most important thing is, can you be dependable? Can you be counted on each and every day? The best players in the world are the ones that are so talented, but then they know what to do to be consistent day in and day out. And through thick and thin, they control what they can control. And Terry embodies that, because look at that. For the longest time, how many years is guilty? Because I would draft him in fantasy every single year because I believed in the talent, but I also believed in the player. I'm like, that dude puts work in. you never question what he's going to bring to your team. He's always going to bring it, always going to give it, even though they had a merry-go-round of quarterbacks. If you guys remember, too, Santana, when he talked about when he played, because I think him and Terry are similar.
Yeah,
11.
What did Santana say? About 11 and 10 years with Washington.
Yeah, he's like, you're sugarcoating that shit. He goes, it was a lot. And the point was, though, he posted up and showed up each day. Now, he didn't get the chance to have, this transcendent situation that Terry had where the Commanders go on a run, Jaden comes in, and now your organization's flipped just like that. RG3 was the closest thing. But Terry, the only thing that changed is that they got the quarterback. Terry did everything that he's usually done, and that's the results that's shown. And we're talking about other things. You know what name pops up to me? When you're looking at guys that you take him out of a solid situation, and then you see what happens when things gets tough. It's like Deontay Johnson for me this last year, where it was questioning on he got taken out of a situation in Pittsburgh because, hey, drops are one thing, but they were questioning the work ethic, the consistency in your work. And look where he is now. He's jumped off the 3 or 4 teams. And here's Terry, perfect example of a guy that's elevated. And not only are the Commanders good, Terry's in that conversation of, well, damn, he is one of the best wide receivers in the game, hands down. So I thought that was a really good clip. We got so much we got to talk about from that with Santana in the future. Do you guys have any other closing thoughts on that before we flip the script?
No. I mean, I obviously wasn't up there to talk to Santana, but it was awesome to kind of see the clips afterwards, and he seemed like such an awesome dude. So
yeah, he was. I liked what he said about just being that dog. Like you have to it's okay to be that guy, but if you are that guy, that means that you have to be the one who's always out working, who's always going and doing the extra thing. So it's a perfect example of what makes Terry, like we've talked about through all the countless quarterbacks that he's thrown to him, multiple years where he's having 2 or 3 starting quarterbacks. It just through it all. He's the model of consistency. He just goes out there and gets it done.
Model of consistency, man. And again, it's not just about football. It's like with this, even today, and I remind myself when I hear things, and that's why I love those conversations. This is not our normal show. We could have just bagged it all together, but consistency when we can, it matters. Showing up in different circumstances. Terry went through some of the worst years you could have.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so rewarding. You go through the bad times, you keep putting the work and the faith, and it shows up and it's great. So, and Kevin, yes, did sacrifice his chair for Santana, but we're going to have
Joe, Kevin acting like he was out of town. Kevin was standing next to the table.
Yeah. Kevin acted like he was punted.
We were
away.
Go stand in the other side of the casino. Kevin stood up and walked around and was just standing right there talking to Rocco.
He was closer than Rocco.
Yeah.
At that point. So I digress, but that was a lot of fun. And we're going to have Santana on in the future here, Zach. We might have some more Commanders or Washington former players that will join us in the future. It's going to be a fun time. You're a Ravens fan, Commanders fan. And the reason why we realize a lot of Orioles fans are not just Baltimore fans. So we're going to talk a lot more about that in the community as we continue to go on. But, Zach, I'm going to take a quick hydration break for a second.
Ooh, nice water bottle.
You like this little circle water bottle? Oh, the blurriness.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say it's circle. Ooh.
Beautiful. I think I got the Honey Crisp apple flavor right now. Trying them out. Phenomenal. But let's move over to a little bit of baseball because it's humming. We're a week away.
Yeah.
And I think we lost Kevin somehow. I hope he's
Kevin
okay.
had to go blow his nose or something. I saw him blow his nose and get up. He's working.
Yeah, so we need to. Can we?
Hot stove is on. That's for sure.
Stove is starting to heat up, and here's the thing. So we want to make sure that we're giving you some baseball. And keep in mind, we got a lot of baseball coverage for you guys when we get back. But in the meantime, it's a good chance there's some baseball news that's going to break while we're down in New Orleans. So in this specific situation, we saw Jack Flaherty sign yesterday. Went back to the Tigers, 2 years, $35 million. I did a breakdown last night for the channel members, and I posted the video. But if you want the full conversation, got to be a channel member there. Great to interact with the group as always. But guys, I think everyone was going with Jack Flaherty. Oh, wait a minute. Why didn't this team sign Jack Flaherty? Insert your team. Why your team didn't sign this guy? I think he took the shorter deal in paraphrasing, shorter deal so he can be a free agent next year because he can opt out after 1 year, and then he's going to try to break the bank, just kind of like what Blake Snell did, try to break the bank, and why not go to a place? Yeah, and he loved Detroit. He's made that clear. So why not go back to a place that you really love? And now he's back in Detroit. I tell you what, guys, if he pitches like he did in Detroit last year,
it's gonna make a lot of money.
They're going to be competing to win that division. That's a really solid team. But the question is, guys, are the Tigers done? It's a big question. So in this case, why don't we jump right into this? Because the one big bat that we're still wondering is Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
So Alex Bregman is still not signed, but it feels like it's going to be imminent here before next week really gets rolling. And there was we have a clip we want to show you, Zach, if you want to preview it for us.
Yeah.
But maybe some insight to the Alex Bregman sweepstakes here with Detroit and some other teams.
Yeah, so Cody Stavenhagen, who is a Detroit writer and show host for The Athletic, joined Foul Territory earlier today to talk about kind of where the Tigers stand now after Jack Flaherty gets signed, what their rotation looked like. But then AJ Pierzynski asked him, are the Tigers done, as we said, and maybe they could be in play for a guy like Alex Bregman. So we'll play that and react on the other side.
I want to know, are they done? Canley's a nice addition to the bullpen, a veteran guy down there. Glaber, obviously. Alex Cobb, if he's healthy, which always seems to be a thing with him, can do some nice things. And then you throw Flaherty to back up Skubal. Are they done, or is there a little third baseman out there floating around that A.J. Hinch knows very well that would slide in nicely at third base to play there for him, and Alex Bregman?
Yeah, I don't think they're done. I think right-handed bat is a priority one way or another. Bregman's obviously the big fish, and I think they've shaped a lot of their offseason around staying in the Alex Bregman pursuit. We're going to see what happens, and we can talk more about it. I think they have a chance, and even if they miss one Bregman, I'll be curious if there is a pivot, whether that's for a platoon guy like Randall Grichuk, or maybe you circle back to the Nolan Arenado idea. The plan A, I think, is to get Bregman. But there's a strong argument they need a right-handed bat regardless to really strengthen this lineup.
So
I
it
agree
makes
with Mike
sense.
Ravens.
Yep.
It would be a scary team in Detroit already. So when you think about this, Jack Flaherty, if he pitches like he did last year for the regular season, he's to me a top 15 pitcher. Top 15 if he's in that range.
Yeah.
You have him with Skubal. That's a really, really good, scary 1-2 punch. Then you factor in they do have some young pieces. Then you factor in a veteran like Bregman. And this team now looks like that they can compete to win the Central. But then they look poised to build off of their tremendous second half of the season. So it would make the most sense there. I still think Boston is a fit. I don't know how by the day if that continues to dwindle. Bregman wants the years in the contract. That's a big thing for him. They think like trying to get to 6. But Kevin, there's one other team that's a Midwest team that people are pinpointing to. It might end up being the new Astros, some might say. Do you have an idea of who I'm talking about?
Midwest team, Kansas City?
No.
Where are you going with this?
There's another team close to that region, but not in the American League.
There's 2 teams in the city. It's the National League team.
They traded for a
They
few
keep
assets.
trading.
Oh, Chicago, the Cubs. Okay.
Yeah, I was like the team.
There we
now I
go.
know where
There
you're
we
going.
go.
The team that keeps trading for
Look
all
at
the
that. Yeah.
The Chicago
first guess.
Cubs.
First guess.
First guess.
I
Nailed
didn't
it.
even need a guess. You could just tell.
Didn't
that I
even
knew.
need a guess. I mean, look, the Cubs look like they're looking to really reshape, and they're not afraid to bring in some Stros, baby. But
Ooh.
that's kind of like it does make sense. But it looks like the team that's willing to give Bregman the years or the average money value, then you're going to get them. But the Tigers and Cubs, to me, they look like that's the most to get noise. I think Red Sox still would be the best fit, but Kev, the Bregman play here, it really will have maybe I'm overvaluing this, but I still think that gives a seismic shift to a team if it's the right team. And I think Detroit and Chicago would be the right teams where you think very differently about what they could do this year if Alex Bregman is the one that's playing third base for him.
Yeah, and I've always thought of Detroit as that team that's like, what if they could pull together a couple moves this offseason? And I think they have. But in order to go from like, oh, this team could be fun to, okay, they're an actual championship contender or the contender to go deep in the playoffs, I think a player of the caliber of an Alex Bregman takes a team to that category. Whereas for Chicago, which is, again, the team I knew all along, by the way, you know that, yes, with Kyle Tucker there now and Presley, like those are good moves. And like it sets you up now. Who knows what this team is going to look like after next season, because that was part of the reason Houston moved on in the first place. But if they could get a Bregman, and I don't know if it would look like a shorter deal in Chicago, or maybe Detroit wants to do a little longer. I don't know what like the actual length of deals would look like, but I'm telling you, if Detroit's not done and they go after Bregman and they actually get him, there are a lot of teams in the AL that could make a ton of noise this year. Like it'd be super competitive because Kansas City, by the way, is going to be one of those teams with the moves they have made. We talk about all the AL East teams. Obviously, you have a couple out there that could also make some pretty decent noise. I don't know. I'm not saying like, oh, Detroit's the scariest team in the league with Alex Bregman, but if I was a Tigers fan, I'd be very happy with their offseason if that's the way they completed it.
Yeah, and Zach, this is the part when you mentioned that, Kev, with the Tigers. The National League, there's clear favorites. Dodgers, which, by the way, the new system that came out, I forget the name of it, so the Dodgers have 100% chance of making the playoffs. So you're telling me there's a chance they don't make it. That would be the biggest sports blunder probably if or choke if the Dodgers don't make it, like according to the stats.
Yeah, isn't it Pecota or whatever? It's like
that's it. So right there, but like clearly you go Dodgers, okay. Phillies, I got the Phillies still in the mix. The Mets, right? In the American League, it's a mixture of teams. Like the Yankees have the highest odds right now. But when you're looking at it, you're going, okay, the Yankees.
Second highest odds in the American League?
It can't be possible, Zach.
No, not after the shit show of this team. Not this horrible ass Orioles team. No chance they have the second highest odds to win it for an AL team.
I can't believe we're playing this season. I'll be honest.
Why are they even showing up? Pack up the bags.
Yeah, I'm just shocked. I think the Orioles, it was over. It's over now, as we know.
Texas is a dangerous team. They dealt with a lot of injuries last year.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the point I was trying to make is that, Zach, there's 7 teams you could make an argument for that could really run the table. And the same thing can happen in the National League. Don't get me wrong. It's playoffs. You got to play. But in the American League, when you're talking about favorites, you could make a case. So if Bregman goes to the Tigers or to the Red Sox, those teams, they're going to rise. The Yankees are where they are. The Orioles are where they are. Texas being healthy, they are where they are. You can't sleep on Houston. You can't sleep on the Guardians, the Royals, Kevin. Yeah. So I think that's the part where I'm trying to make, that is that Bregman sitting there to me, can have a greater impact on the American League if he stays, because there is so much parity there that any of those teams, it would not shock me in the least bit if they went on to represent the World Series. So we'll kind of see what happens, man. It is
The
fascinating.
American League's going to be fun this year. I think that's going to be just a ton of fun to watch. It's just a lot of really well-built teams. Like, there are just a lot of teams that it's going to piss people off. I know, and I know, Joe, you're saying 108 wins for the Orioles. It might be another year where 95, 96 wins gets you the number 1 seed in the AL. You know, because there are a lot of good teams out there, and they're going to be beating up on each other. Like, you can't win every game, especially against the talent that's out there. I could see this being another season where there's going to be about 8 or 9 teams between 88 wins and 95 wins. And you only got spots for what? 6? So
there are going to be some unhappy fan bases at the end of the year.
some good teams are going to miss.
And not even because the teams are bad, like just
Yeah.
because that's the way it's going to go this year.
Some very good teams are going to miss the playoffs.
Yep.
Very good teams. But we're not going to play the season because the Orioles.
No.
Pack it up.
I wanted to, and I realized that X is a wild and crazy place, so I should just lean into it a little bit more, because it's hard for me to really give it's hard for me to really dive into topics on X extensively, because it's such a place where you can get so mad so quickly and people can interpret things the wrong ways. Hence, that's why we ask you to watch the show or come talk to us in person. There was a comment made the other day about, like, well, Ryan, this team's significantly worse. They're going to miss the playoffs. It's not worth it. And I was going to write, yep, you're right. I'm going to, you know what I'm going to call the team up and say, you know what, guys, appreciate you. Caravan seemed great. Appreciate you guys coming out. You know what? Take the year off. Take it off. So,
Yeah.
But I will say, if it's like the MLB The Show, when I posted that tweet, if Kowser's hitting
What
$115,
was that? Those were some
I like
very.
Gary Sanchez in the 2-hole. I would love.
I know you're ready for those lineups this year, Zach.
I would love to see Orioles Twitter the second that lineup gets in. I just missed that. But like 3:45, 4:30 lineup announcement. Oh my God, those Sunday punt lineups. Gosh.
Which, by the way, like, slap in the face to some players who had to play in Sunday games, guilty. Hey, not there. You know what? They're professionals, man. And actually, the Orioles seemed to win a lot of those games when they did that. So
no, it was actually funny. There was a streak of I think it was 7 or 8 straight Sunday wins, but everyone just claims that Sunday punt lineups suck. Like, the Orioles could put out their best lineup. It's the beauty of baseball. The Orioles would post a lineup that every single person would be like, finally, the best lineup possible. Like, they did it. And then it would be like, no runs. They got shut out.
Those was by 7.
Yep. 7-0.
Don't you love baseball?
Then the next day, it's like, how the hell do they, is Brandon Hyde joking with us? Is he joking with us? They didn't put any effort. They suck. They're just punting it. 9 runs. 9 runs through the first 6 innings.
Yeah. Austin Slater, 3 for 4, 3 home runs.
Yeah. That was when he was coming up and just bunting from the leadoff spot. God, it was pissing me off, but it worked. I couldn't believe that we were putting our faith in Austin Slater in the 1-hole, but they kept working.
Yeah. If that MLB The Show graphic is realistic, though, if that actually is what happens, and Kowser's hitting $115, Westberg's hitting 200, Jackson's hitting below 200, there's only one hitter on that team that was hitting above 270 with everything else, then yeah, we're going to be talking about some rough situations.
Which is wild considering the way the league has gone. Like that,
yeah.
And with the talent the Orioles have, I don't know. If that happens, I think they secretly hired me as the hitting coach, and I was giving them lessons.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I know people talk about. I'm seeing in the comments about the Orioles have taken a step back in anything. The way that I've put it, and throughout this offseason, the Orioles are built for very well for regular season success right now. They have the depth. They have an incredible lineup. They have young guys that are going to be coming up. They have the veterans now that I think they were missing last year. The rotation is full of guys that just eat innings and are going to get the job done. Now, I think the big thing is if Grayson doesn't step up to be that ace, you need an ace to, be that World Series contender. I think if they go out and make a big time move, that puts you over the top come playoffs. But I think for depth reasons and built for the regular season, they are extremely well built. I think they've done a very good job building a regular season squad, but it comes down to stars in the playoffs. That means you want a guy like Grayson Rodriguez to step up. Maybe the Orioles do make a move for a Cease, for a King, for Alcantara, someone like that, for a Castillo. I could see that. That's a way to do it. But when it comes down to it, I feel like we've been screwing this from the mountaintops. When I say your stars are the reason that you win in the playoffs, that means Adley Rutschman. That means Gunnar Henderson. That means Jackson Holliday, Jordan Westberg, Cedric Mullins. If these guys take that step and they show up in the playoffs like they do during the regular season, like we've seen them do, then the Orioles are going to be, like we say, the Orioles are going to be fine. But this team's going to go as much as this young core goes. You can add an ace all you want. I think they need to add another top-end guy before the trade deadline. But when it comes to just being well-built and built for success, it's all hinders on the Gunners, the Adleys, all those guys.
If you want to look at the roster right now, without Corbin, without Tony, and the lack of big-name star acquisitions, yes, on paper, if you just want to say, all right, everyone at the end of 2024, that's where they are starting, then sure, the roster on paper looks worse than it did last season. But the plan was always, and they made this very clear with the way that they approached the offseason, it was graduating guys. So as Jackie talked about, these young guys taking the next step and making sure the season, if Corbin came back and the young guys didn't step up, the season was a wash anyway. Corbin could have had a great season, but if Grayson doesn't stay healthy, if Jackson doesn't take a step, if Heston can't take a step, if, Adley can't break out of the slump, if Gunnar can't, continue to be the MVP that he is, or MVP candidate we know that he is, that was what it was going to be. So I don't have a problem with people saying that, and look, I've said it too. I'm look, on paper, the roster is not as good as it was last season. But at the end of this season, we'll look at the steps that people have taken, and we can evaluate based off of that. And maybe we'll say, man, Jackson really turned a corner, and man, Jackson 10 times better than what he was in 2024. And Grayson stayed healthy the entire season. Look what he was able to do is the ace replacing Corbin in that role. That to me is where there's that uncertainty level of what does it become with the young core? Does the young core take the step or do they not? I think that's the big question.
Yeah. And, I see Mike Green saying my biggest concern is that the younger guys, man, on Holiday don't take the leaps this year. They undoubtedly have bright futures, but we're really leaning into the young core to win it all. My, kind of comment to that is there's only one way to find out. It's much as people, we want them to be these stars. And this is kind of, that funny part of Orioles social media where everyone's like, you got to play the stars. You got to play these young guys. You got to play them. They're getting blocked. Then we saw Colton Cowser last year go through a month stretch where he struggled, and everyone's like, get him off the team. Never bring him back. Never let him play again. Why is he in the lineup? We have to let these guys. So maybe they don't take that step. It's not a guarantee, but the only way we can find out if they're taking that step is giving them the opportunity. And I think guys like Jackson is ready. I think Mayo is ready for the big times this year. I think he got his feet wet last year. Now it's go time. But especially a guy like Jackson, you just got to give him the reins. It's time.
It's this simple. It's literally this simple. Execute in situations, buck up. The Orioles have the luxury of having a bunch of young players that can be stars, and if they play well, this team's going to be really good. If they don't play well, then you're going to have to go into 26 and go, all right, who is actually going to be a part of the team? That's what it is. Because if you're like, you know what, X, Y, and Z isn't with it, okay, then great, you make a move accordingly. But this is the luxury you have when you draft players with high upside and potential. That's just it. When you draft well, and I'll take it over to the football side here. Now I'm getting a little bit fired up. It's like you need to see your players develop. That's the importance of developing players. See what they become. Grayson Rodriguez, I made a post about this last night, and someone said, oh, the Elias is banking on Grayson being the ace of the team. No. But like we're sitting here, and I got asked, how does Grayson get a chance to be an all or be a ace? He's got to pitch. He's got to pitch a full year. He's got to learn himself at the big league level. If he goes out there and pitches with what I think he can do and be consistent, then Grayson's going to elevate his game over time. But you can't elevate your game over time unless you go out there, you go through it, you get smacked in the mouth, and then you go, all right, am I sinking or am I swimming? So that's what we're going to find out here. And keep in mind, and I love it. Believe me, with the fans, I love it. Passionate about it. In 2023, everyone was oh, great, this team's going to be okay. That team wasn't built to win 100 games at all. They were, again, when I move, you move, just like that, ludicrously unbelievable in one-run games. Go back and look at those things that Orioles team did. So then everyone had the idea that, man, this Baltimore Orioles team in 24, they're not going to lose any games. They're going to go 150-12. No, it's not how it's going to work. The young players didn't know how to deal with failure. It's life. You learn how to deal with failure, and you get to the postseason. One of those guys has a hit. We're having a different conversation about what happens. So that's my piece. We'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, if you truly want to see what you got to live with the fact that these guys might stink it up and they might suck, or, hear me out, they might figure something out and turn into something so special that you'll sit there and go, man, I can't believe we have him on our roster moving forward. Yeah. That's what you got to think about it. And if you're saying you want the immediate success, well, damn, everybody wants immediate success. But then go look around, it's actually got that. So we'll see what happens. I'm all about it.
It's gonna be a fun year.
Go get go get Mike Bauman back. Just want my friend back. Go get him back.
Fuji, trade for him.
Yeah, bring Fuji back.
Bring Fuji back. Damn it.
It's what the people want.
It's vibes.
What the people need.
Vibes. And also, and that's one of the other things. You want to talk about a team? Yeah, veteran leadership matters on your squad. Teams with good leadership matters. And if there's one thing for me, the Orioles team loves each other. They have guys that are elevating. Someone's going to have to figure out that role. Maybe Charlie Morton's going to help, but one of these guys is going to elevate into that. Now I'm good. Now I'm set. Whew. All right.
I'm loving it. I'm ready for it. I mean, obviously, massive week. Reminder, we'll be in New Orleans all this week. So make sure to follow along for just a jam-packed week. I've already accepted. You said it before, Ryan. I've accepted. The Orioles are doing something while we're there. It's going to be when we're not able to. We're going to be mid-interview with something, and they're going to just drop a bomb.
That's how it has to happen.
Yeah. Then Kevin's going to have to go live for Kevin's Zach Reaction. I'm going to be like doing stuff here while also going live on my phone from the other hand.
Exactly,
we're just going to make it work. We're just going to make it work. Content never sleeps.
It's going to be a lot of fun, though. But overall, guys, on our program here, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. What we want to continue developing into, we're going to give you Orioles content, and Baby Fat and Zach Reacts will get going for post games for the O's. But we're not just going to be covering just the Orioles. We're going to be covering a lot of baseball overall. And we're also going to make this more into a lifestyle type of show. Give you more content, make this fun, but we'll also keep it real at the same point of it. And one of those things, we're going to keep it real and content-wise. Down in New Orleans starting tomorrow. Zach and I will be down there. We will be documenting what the hell we will be doing. but we got a lot of things planned, and we can't wait to share that with you guys. So hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to be a part of the experience and get the behind the scenes, click that join button. And all of that really goes back into the channel. That's how we're making this better here. So appreciate each and every one of you guys. I think this will do it for the show so we can get ready for what we have in store. And I got to go back to making calls. I was going to say where my dog is, but where's my dog at? He's right below me. Ollie's just chilling, you know?
Love it.
Yeah, keep the content machine rolling, baby.
Yeah. It's all good. But yes, Laura, Ollie is king. You know, and you know, if you got any restaurant recommendations, let us know, or where we can find the best beignet.
Yes.
You know, whatever we need to do, let us know. We will be doing a lot of things that we have scheduled for our programming here. So for everyone listening in, we're going to be going live at impromptu times. We're going to get you a schedule of when we will, but there's going to be times when, I don't know, someone walks by, Kevin. I'm just trying to think who could be walking by. It's a lot of names. And we're like, well, sure, we'll go live. Yeah, we'll do this. Of course I'll sign your baby, Kevin. You know?
You better. You better.
Exactly. All right, guys. Any final words on the way out here?
No, just
Tune in all week.
Fun week ahead. Fun week ahead.
Fun week ahead. And we also, the other thing is, people have asked about Ryan Ripken Show merch. And Kev, we got some in the works.
Yeah, I wanna get in on that. I've decided that if no one spearheads that operation, I want to do it.
No, well, yes. Well, we're gonna spearhead some of our best sellers. I think what will happen, there's 3 specifically that will work as a team.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm excited for that.
Cool.
Captain Jack Kevin. All right, guys, appreciate you guys. Don't have the music.
No.
So
down.
As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, thank you for tuning in for the short term. We're going to be with you live all week down at the Super Bowl. So tune in here on YouTube, on X. And as always, have a day, have a night, have a great stinking weekend. And we will see you guys tomorrow for more Ryan Ripken Media and Ryan Ripken Show content.